Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Clink.
Clink. Yes, sir. Always good to have coffee in the morning.
Gotta love coffee in the morning.
I love coffee in the morning. straight black coffee.
So, Cameron, I heard that there is some news going on right now. What do you got?
So, before we begin the podcast, I was going to bring this up briefly because I've been seeing it everywhere today. It's something that recently happened past few days. But there is, if you are a gamer, there is a very popular game on Steam and on PlayStation called Helldivers 2. It's a online game, a live service game, where it's you're a Marine, and you just defeat hordes and hordes of aliens, bug aliens, very much like Starship Troopers, but better. And recently it was like the most paid game or played game on Steam. I mean, the amount of players it had was just out of the roof. Until recently, PlayStation, who was the publisher of the game, not the developer, the publisher, announced that starting, I believe, today, in order to play the game on Steam, you have to link your PlayStation Network account, which is the account you use when you're on a PlayStation. And this has angered many people, rightfully so. There's many people who are basically stating, "That's it. I'm not gonna play. I shouldn't have to log into a third party service to play a game that I already bought." Some people on the other side are saying it takes 5 minutes to do so. Just create an account and continue playing. So it's very kind of, there's a war going on right now between who's right and who's wrong on the fact. But yeah, PlayStation, the publishers of the game have stated that you will be required to have a PlayStation Network account in order to continue playing this game. There's a guy I follow on YouTube who was in cybersecurity for many years, including at Blizzard, who makes World of Warcraft, who said that, you know, their initial release statement, their initial statement about the PlayStation Network, they said that it was required for extra security. Get a PlayStation account, you're extra secure. And this guy I follow on YouTube, who was in cybersecurity for many years, was like, that's not at all it. That's not how that works. The only reason, or the logical reason they're most likely doing this, is to boost PlayStation Network numbers, which is what PlayStation uses as a metric for how many players they have, right? Even if you don't physically own a PlayStation, if you have a PlayStation Network account, you're a PlayStation user. And in his mind, it was to boost the PlayStation numbers, to, you know, boost the shareholders, if you will. So yeah, that caught my attention earlier today, and I was kind of appalled and shocked that they did this. Helldivers 2, at least the developers, have been very vocal and upfront with the players, interacting with the players, providing, you know, proper updates from player feedback in a very quick manner. You know, they're not taking like days and days and days to update. If players say, hey, this is an error that's happening with this gun, this weapon, whatever, they fix it like within 24 hours. So, and they're very like their social media presence with the players is very prominent. So it is kind of a shock to see this statement, although it's from PlayStation, the publisher, not necessarily the developer of the game, Arrowhead. So
There were a lot of I think from the community, there were a lot of glitches, weren't there? There was a lot of like,
in the beginning there was a few, but I mean, from what I've seen currently up until today, that game's been phenomenal with updates and stuff.
Yeah,
For the
I think
most
from
part, I
what
mean, every game probably is
yeah.
always going to have glitches, but it doesn't. It's not as glitchy as games that I've seen and heard about in the past. But this game was literally the number one played game on Steam months. I mean, it was holding that number one spot forever. So, and now it's obviously not. The reviews as of today for it specifically on Steam have been all negative based off of that release they stated. So far today, it's received 10,175 negative reviews. Most of those are about their decision to lock it behind a, let's say lock it, but to force you to have a PlayStation Network account or your account's banned. Like you can't play. Like they will like delete your account essentially unless you create a PlayStation Network account.
Yeah, we'll probably provide a picture for the viewers so they know, because
Absolutely.
it's very, because we've seen it, it's very up for the positives and then just straight
Oh yeah.
for
Oh
the
yeah. Like
negatives.
so
It's insane.
How Steam review like what their graph looks like, it's like a single line and then they have positive reviews up that way and then negative reviews that way. And just today alone, or their most recent update, you can see the positive graph is like that. It's like 600 positive reviews, and then it's like that. It's over 10,000 negative reviews, and it's still dropping. Um, so that's just a little bit of gaming news that I wanted to bring up before we started, because that's if you're in the gaming community, that is a very that's you've heard of Helldivers 2. You've either heard of Helldivers 2 or you've heard of Helldivers 2. There's no option. I mean, it's everywhere. Especially if you're like a first person shooter gamer, or I believe it's in third person actually. But yeah, if you're a shooter type uh gamer playing Halo, Call of Duty, CS:GO, you've heard of Helldivers 2. Um, and yeah, so we will see if PlayStation goes back on this decision, um, or if they keep it. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll probably get some views from people from that community. And if you're watching, please, yeah, just let us know what you think about it, what your
Yeah,
thoughts on it.
absolutely.
We're very curious, and
Hmm.
we're both gamers, so we're just interested
Yeah.
to know. So, all right, well, let's just jump right into it. So what are we gonna talk about today, Cameron?
Today we're going to talk about something that's kind of been on the rise the past year or so, and that's AI music generation. The process of typing in what type of song you want to hear, lyrics, genre, and there's several of these websites, these AI applications that will generate songs for you, full-fledged songs, and various websites will have different lengths that they use by default. But majority of them are about 30 seconds to 2 3 minutes long. um and it's crazy just how some of these sites, how realistic sounding these songs are. um I know the few that we've messed with, we haven't messed with obviously all of them because there's dozens. But the few that we have messed with, testing out generating songs, they're yeah, they're they sound like fully produced songs. Like if you told me this is a new and up and coming band, I'd be like, I would believe it. There's nothing that kind of screams, oh, this is obviously fake. Um,
Yeah,
but
and yeah, just in context, and yeah, like we've for example, we messed with Suno AI
mhm,
.com. We've messed with udiobeta.com. They're kind of similar. Udio right now is I'm sure with many others that we've noticed. But Udio is kind of on the rise right now, and
It's the popular one right now. It's the one that's kind of getting the most traction.
the direction and pretty much the most attention,
Mm-hmm.
and for what it can do, and yeah, basically for just people that don't know, is basically you can just type in the lyrics that you want. Let's say for people that don't have any music producing skills with softwares, things like that, experience wise,
Right.
can look this kind of stuff up, or can create ideas with lyrics, any kind of lyrics that you want, a certain style of what kind of artist you want.
Mm-hmm.
If you're interested in, like, Def Leppard, or I'm sure there's people like I didn't even think about, like, SoundCloud, people with making,
That's a good point.
like people with rapping, R&B, hip hop, things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
like we've said before, I think it was last episode, like this stuff is advancing very fast at a very fast rate. And
Mm-hmm.
it's, for some people, it's very concerning. But
Right.
but yeah, if you just want to kind of like give the origin story of how it became to life.
Oh yeah. So they've had AI, or specifically computer generated music, has been around for a long time. Um, Most notably, Alan Turing, the godfather of the computer, as he's been known, created essentially in 1951 um, a simple melody making machine that, you know, that's like the first instance of creating music not from a traditional instrument. In the 60s, 1969, I believe, IBM released the 7094 computer that used the first instance of a synthesized voice, all digital voice. Um, and it, they got it to sing Daisy, which is a song from 1890s, from the 1890s. And it is the most horrifying thing ever. Most notably, or most reasonably, because it was used uh 8 years later in our favorite movie, 2001: A Space Odyssey, near the end, how the AI computer sang it at the near the very end of the movie, uh, which made it even more creepy. But yeah, AI music generation, or just computer generated music, has been around forever. Um, and with the implementation of AI and just getting, AI generation involved in making music, it's only skyrocketed in the recent years, with people being able to create full on bands, full on songs, just by typing in a text prompt saying, I want this song. I want a reggae song about ducks. Most of these sites have the free option to generate songs. Um and they vary in quality, because I'm sure they're using different AI uh systems. Some are probably using the same, but they vary in quality. But compared to where we were in the 50s compared to now, yeah, it's gotten a lot better. Um, so much so that copyright law, the U.S. copyright law, got updated in 2023, I want to say, where they say human authorship is required for copyright protection. It will refuse to register works solely generated by AI. So under the U.S. copyright law, you cannot copyright an AI generated song just because you typed in a text prompt. Now, that doesn't mean you can't benefit from an AI generated song that you created. Certain websites, certain sites will allow you to monetize those songs that you got from their platforms. They have their own terms of service for, each of these sites have their own terms of service. Um, Most of them require that you're on one of their paid plans before they'll give you monetization rights. Um, but I mean, a lot of these plans that you get these monetization rights are like $9-10 a month, and then you can publish that song, um, SoundCloud, wherever you want to publish the song, and boom, you're making money. Um, Now, what is interesting is when it comes to um, generating AI songs that are trying to disguise themselves as artists, like recreating a Queen song, right? Using their exact vocals, like making it sound like Freddie Mercury, making it sound like whoever, Madonna, AC/DC, whoever. That is very much a no-no. um, Recently, the SAG-AFTRA, as we've heard of them before, because they were recently on a strike for their actors. They also cover recording artists. That union is several people. It's voice actors, recording artists,
Hmm.
actors. It's several people, and it also includes recording artists. They have a they've come up with a contract from with recording studios specifically, like Sony and Universal Music Group and all these companies, for their artists' protection. So these recording studios can't just create the next, Ariana Grande song without her knowledge and her say so and her involvement. Um, so this comes directly from the SAG after website. This statement. Uh, Artists who are replicated are also entitled to receive specific details about the replica's intended use and to compensation. Compensation for artists must align with the royalty share the artist would earn on other sound recordings under their current contract. The session singers must receive a minimum of 3 sides per project, a minimum of 28 hours notice of any recording session for the purpose of creating a digital replica is expected, and that session time should be paid as work time. Additionally, blanket consent for digital or AI replication is prohibited. Basically, if I don't know, give me an artist. If this artist gives their permission for their voice to be AI replicated, that doesn't mean that that's permission indefinitely for all projects in the future. It is a per project basis. So every single time an art or someone wants to use a recording label specifically wants to use an AI or use an artist's voice for voiceover work for music, they have to ask every single time. However much studio time is being used to recreate these whatever the project is, the artist gets paid as if they were in the studio. They get paid for studio hours, even though they're not even in the studio. So you basically have to pay the artists the same amount of hours you are working on the song
Hmm.
or album or voiceover project or what have you. So it's a very interesting it's a good thing that they do have these systems in place, because recently on platforms such as YouTube and TikTok, people were creating uh they were using replica voices of specific different artists. Drake is one of them. Um Creating songs like, oh my god, this is the next Drake song, but it wasn't. Um that is very much a no-no nowadays. YouTube won't allow it, TikTok won't allow it. It is a very big no-no. So now all of these famous artists who are who are part of SAG-AFTRA have these protection rights So you can't just create the next song, the next Queen song, the next whoever's currently popular. You can
That
tell
is
I don't listen to a lot of new music. I'm very old school.
good point. I am too.
Mhm.
I definitely agree. A lot of today's music gets overplayed way too much.
Right.
But I do want to bring up, yeah, since you kind of mentioned that on techcrunch.com, they've been kind of diving in with, I guess
Mhm.
from your side of it, like you're saying, there's also the other side of people of artists that don't want to participate at all with AI, like
Right. It's not
nothing at all.
there's not for everybody.
Yeah. Basically, what from this article, these artists are right. The AI models that generate new music, artwork, and writing function by training on massive data sets of existing work. And in most cases, asking to remove your work from these models is a futile exercise.
Hmm.
And the thing that's really frustrating, and I mean, especially with this topic today, it's just something I'm not really up for because I definitely had a lot of mixed feelings, like still the same category for like AI generated art because the way it
Right.
generates, and you're stealing because that's what these big AI models are doing. And
Right.
this
Their in-
is good.
their information, a lot of these AI models or AI websites such as Chat GPT, a lot of these their information is pulled from the internet.
Yeah.
Actually, their whole entire spiel is that everything is pulled from the internet. So that's where they get their blend of information is what's publicly available on the internet. So
Which I mean, I get it for, like there might be people out there that have no experience. Let's just say there's maybe a person that has experience with singing and songwriting, but
mhm,
no experience with instruments.
right,
No, they let's say they can't find anybody to produce music for them.
right,
And they're kind of like, oh, I wish there was something I could do to make, and then boom, here's all this stuff. But you're still technically just taking data and just having these models just do these exercises, and that's which it's like, okay, there should be some, because you're not really getting, like I've said before, I feel like you would get more of the human experience if you put in the dedication and
mhm,
work into creating even a single or an album based on you, the human, doing everything through training, you know,
right,
not necessarily with AI, but
mhm,
learning, self learning, or other types of stuff. But I get it. It's the younger generations, and with TikTok, it's like they're not going to want to put in all that work. They just want
right,
fast fast results, and
quick
it's
money.
kind of like, all right, well, yeah, and um, like I was asking at one point, was which it might not necessarily happen, but it's just something we'll have to just kind of check on later. But let's say with this advancing beyond our imagination that we know,
Mhm,
is like, what's that going to look like for music award shows? Who knows that it,
right,
like, are they going to introduce that as a separate category, and you're going to have, Led Zeppelin sitting there, and you're going to have a kid that's like 16 or 17 years old come up, he just won 2 Academy Awards for
Grammys, yeah.
or Grammys, singing about celery, and it's like the number one on the charts, and
Right.
you're like,
Yeah.
what?
Right. There definitely needs to be. I mean, there's already good practices in place, especially for like the recording industry, like the professional recording industry.
Absolutely.
There's already good practices in place, but there definitely will need to be more as more things happen. Um, I think personally, it will be a very long time, hopefully, until we get any sort of AI generation as a category. Um, in like at the Grammys or whatever other music award shows there are. The Grammys is the biggest. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's here. The AI generation for several different things is here. Music is just another one of them. Um, so we'll just have to see. We'll have to see what that looks like in the next few years. Especially with some recording artists who may actually like the use of AI music and may incorporate it into their own thing. What do you do if let's say Led Zeppelin, which I don't think they have had a song ever, but let's say Led Zeppelin wants to make an AI generated song, like well, they want to use AI. Actually, matter of fact, didn't the Beatles recently release a new song that used some variation of generative AI? Or people thought it was, and maybe it wasn't. There's something with the Beatles
So
released a new song, and they I don't
I
remember.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know the full story on that, but that would
I
be
think
very interesting to learn.
it was a very big misunderstanding
Mhm,
because they came out with the I think it was only like a 40-minute documentary, so it wasn't really
yeah,
that long. But um, from what I've watched, I think it was a very big misunderstanding because
mhm,
a lot of people, I guess for people with context that don't know, but a lot of people assumed, well, the Beatles, Paul McCartney and Ringo, they they came out and said that they're going to release kind of like one final Beatles song,
mhm,
forever kind of thing.
yeah,
And then people start to assume that they use some type of AI voice modular for John Lennon that came in that song. But for the documentary was, I believe, in like the 90s. So
mhm,
when George Harrison was still around,
yeah,
um, they had some unreleased footage of John, which was not on any songs. It was just an outtake of,
mhm,
I think, a song idea John Lennon had, and they just kind of put it away in a vault.
mhm,
So they found that they wanted to, but this was the 90s. They didn't
mhm,
really have that good of tech. So they were still trying to figure things out. Plans didn't go as they wanted. They kind of put it aside for a couple of years, and then sadly George Harrison passed away.
mhm.
So recently, I think it came out maybe like not that long ago, probably 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, like 2023.
Um, with the advancement of today's technology, they were able to. I think it was on a cassette tape that they had it. They had it on a cassette tape, and they were able to transfer it digital wise, and they were able to like edit, produce the voice, make it sound clear,
Mhm,
the tracking vocals and things like that. So they ended up using that, and then that's when they released their newest
their new song.
song.
So it's
So
using vocals that already exist. It's using John Lennon vocals. They're just unedited. They're just raw vocals, essentially.
yeah, I'm sure there was probably some post where in today's social media somebody can get a tiny little bit of information and they'll post it and they'll just say, "Oh, it was all AI," and then it
Right.
just
And it blows up.
explodes.
Yeah, that tends to
And
happen.
until you watch the documentary and you hear about it, then you're like, so there wasn't AI involved at all.
Hmm.
So yeah, people people tend to do that a lot. So
Yeah. Social media, that's a topic for another day.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so even for authors taking a stand, and also here in this article, there has been over 15,000 writers have taken a stand against the rise of generative AI. So that
Yeah.
that tells you a lot
Oh yeah. I mean,
because
it's a writing music is not easy. Especially if you're like classically trained, that is an art form. That is very much an art form. And that's not something that everyone just has. You look at, for example, you look at uh writers such as Hans Zimmer, who orchestrates music, one of the greats. You have you know, Elton John. Elton John's one of the big ones, Sir Elton John. These guys, they had to put in the dedication to do this. And, that's not something that, anyone just has. So
yeah,
it is
um,
absolutely an art form that very, very few people have.
yeah, I agree, and it's just it's yeah, it's very phenomenal and very groundbreaking technology now for
Yeah.
this AI to do all the lyrics, do pretty much like the production, the vocals, instruments in within a matter of, 4 or 5 minutes.
Right.
You have, a minute and a half or, close to 2 minute long song. And for that to just, and I get it. I could see it definitely just being used more for just entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
So I get it with some, but with these companies, they and what's crazy too, these companies,
Mhm.
with like Chad GPT and there's a few others,
Yeah.
they know they're gonna probably get sued.
Hmm.
And it's funny, they're just like, yeah, we know we're gonna get sued, but you're not gonna stop us because
Right.
this is groundbreaking technology for our generation. And
Right.
it's like, okay, well, we still like what you were talking about. It's like there has to be some barriers, there has to be some walls that need to be set up for this.
Right.
And because you can't you can't be just doing these wrong exercises the wrong way and just pulling stuff off of the internet and just create, because that's not, to me personally, that doesn't sound right at
Right.
all.
Right.
And to me that kind of makes me frustrated
Hmm.
because I know one or two people that have been producing music,
Hmm.
you know, with softwares and no AI involved for
Oh yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And that's taking away their privileges, that's taking away their rights.
Hmm.
They have to be super, super careful now, which it's
Right.
scary. I've said it before, I'll say it again, and it's probably gonna be my motto, but AI doesn't have a soul and doesn't
Right.
have really human emotions.
Hmm.
And based on 2001: A Space Odyssey, they were trying to predict of AI and technology having human emotions, and
Yeah.
that's no, no, no.
Yeah.
You,
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I cannot do that.
yeah, I, I noticed you were talking and I read your lips. You know, it
Yeah.
was like, oh
It's like, okay,
no.
unplug.
Yeah. Shoot. I know. Yeah. There's got to be some things that we got to just keep an eye on. And speaking just from me, and I'm sure you can agree with, is like things can get out of whack. And with stuff advancing, it's
Mhm.
like there's got to be some point where it crosses the line that we draw in the sand for human evolution that we got to
Mm.
just pull the
Right.
plug and be like, all right, that's enough. But
Yeah.
I'm sure behind closed doors, it's run by greed
Yeah.
and
For the most
it's
part, yeah.
tower of money that I'm sure some of these companies obviously don't want to talk about, and they they want it.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's gonna happen, jokingly, uh, just look at Stray, the video game. All that was left in the world were robots and cats. That's all you had.
True.
And, it would be cool if that were the case. I mean, in the aspect of you get to play as a cat, that was cool. But I would like to be around and it not just be robots and cats.
Yeah, in some movies they have the robots walking around, which is like, oh, cool when you're watching the movie, and
Mhm.
then the camera zooms down, and there's just a bunch of human skulls, and you're like,
Like, oh,
oh, okay, never mind.
yeah,
Who knows? We might actually have a Terminator kind of world. We never may know.
Skynet.
Yeah, Skynet.
Right.
So
That'd be crazy.
that would, yeah. Yeah, robotics, that's advancing.
Scarily fast.
Yeah, scarily fast. We thought probably maybe 20 or 30 years ago, it was like, oh, cool. I mean, yeah, that's cool. They could just pick up an object. Cool. Now,
Now they got flamethrowers.
basically, yeah.
You've seen that the robot dog? That's for sale, by the way. That we can talk about another topic in detail. But that
Yes.
robot dog is for sale. You can buy it. It's a robot dog that has a literal flamethrower attached to it. What use would you need for that? Why?
Unbelievable. I
Some
am,
some some inventions should just stick to they should just stay on paper and not come to fruition. That's all I'm saying.
yeah,
They
that's
should only
good.
be they should only exist in video games and movies or on paper.
The fantasy, yeah, kind of view of it, the
Yeah.
fantasy world. But we as humans, we want to make that fantasy real.
Yep.
And I don't know if I want to support that.
Next thing you know, we're gonna wake up in Terminator.
Bunch of cyborgs. So,
Right. Bunch of
alrighty. Well, I think that'll about wrap it up for today. Um, but yeah, also for viewers, feel free if you like this content, if you like the updates, if you want to know more, if you want to ask questions, please feel free to. If you have any
absolutely.
suggestions, we appreciate it. And if you watch this video all the way till now, please hit that like, hit subscribe, support us because
Mhm.
we want to get more of this stuff out there. We're just curious and we're just wanting to give this kind of information out to the community. So, and
Right.
if not, no worries, but yeah,
Right.
for um sorts of all kind of tech trends, we'll probably be doing more like AI, video games, probably
Oh
more
yeah.
tech, phones, all kinds of stuff. We got probably a lot more stuff headed your way. And but yeah,
Oh, absolutely. if you have any question, comments, concerns, thoughts, post them in the comments. We'll respond to them. If you are for or against the use of AI becoming a day-to-day thing, let us know. Let us know your thoughts. Be
Yeah,
interested to see, especially opposing opinions to ours. You know what their kind of what people's thought process is. You know, it's like someone says I think we should use AI, and someone says I don't think we should. Tell us why.
we're very eager, so we want to know. So
Yeah,
yeah, if you
absolutely.
have any recommendations on like how the podcast should go, or what we need to discuss or just try
Hmm.
out, yeah, absolutely. So, but alrighty, yeah, that'll wrap it up for today.
Yes, sir.
I think I'll go with the outro, but so for the Tech Brew listeners, if you're still watching, but uh, as we always say, drink coffee in moderation and don't believe you hear everything on the internet. And
Hmm.
drink coffee in moderation. That also goes for coffee,
Soda,
caffeine, soda.
Pepsi
So,
soda,
but
alcohol.
yeah, just keep an open mind out there. So,
Hmm.
but
Yes, sir.
alrighty, that'll do it. So, have a good one, folks.
Have a good one. See you next time. Peace.
Peace.